Welcome back to the workbench here at Heavy Arrow Compound. Talking about heavy arrows again. Mainly an option to heavy arrows that you might not have thought of. Now, today in the archery industry, everyone shoots carbon arrows. Showed you this one last video. This one's not your average carbon arrow. It has a weight tube in it, so this is definitely not your average run-of-the-mill arrow because this is a 16 GPI. You're not going to find an arrow like that. But for an option that gets you up into 12 GPI, I think on the market, you're looking at a FMJ at a 300 spine. Yeah, you're just not going to find. You're just not going to find anything that breaks that 10 grains per inch unless you're jumping into some really heavy spined arrows. So I'm going to show you an option that's one, economical, because gosh dang, those FMJs are $50, $70 for 6. I mean, it's a price that I'm not willing to pay. I don't have a lot of money, probably like a lot of you guys if you're watching this video. So here's a heavy arrow option that's been around a long time that no one ever thinks of. Good old aluminum. Now, sorry, off the table. Now, here's the thing about aluminum you're going to have to realize. It flexes less than carbon. Okay? It's going to flex a lot less. But that can be a positive thing. So let me run through the talking points. Number one, aluminum arrow, cheaper. These right here are Game Getter, Easton Game Getters. They're in the Double X 75 line. They have been around forever. Forever. These right here off of Lancaster Archery run you $4 a shaft. I mean, if you're building your own arrows, it's hard to compete with that. Also, these right here have a higher tolerance than your carbons for the same price. What does that mean? You're getting better straightness. You're going to get better grains per inch. You're going to get a lot better tolerance levels. The arrows are a lot higher quality for lower cost. Now these are, like I said, the cheapest. If you jump into like the Camo Hunter line, which is like premium Easton aluminum hunting arrows, $5 a shaft. Like, come on, like jump over to carbon and to get like a gold tip Warrior, it's going to be 25 cents more. And gold tip Warriors are the low end. They're great arrows. I've killed a lot of things with them. But with these right here, if you're like me, you shoot a lot of arrows and you want your arrows to be heavier, this is a good way to get a economical option. Some things you're going to have to understand. One, you pull this sucker out, you're going to pull straight. If you got a stiff target, you will bend more arrows and then they will be curved. They're not like these carbons where if they come out, it always goes back to being straight. Another thing you're going to have to realize, which is its biggest positive, is also a negative. These are 12 grains per inch, meaning every inch weighs about 12 grains. The good thing about them is you're going to get a heavier arrow. Bad news about them is they will not fly as fast. This arrow right here will not fly quite as fast as this arrow right here, even with more grains per inch. But will it do the job? The answer is yes. Carbon arrows, you'll see it in flight. They do this a lot. They flex. These bad boys right here, some of the straightest arrows you'll ever see. They will, like a freaking bullet. And I've noticed sometimes these things will hit and they absorb some of the impact and then they keep going. These do not. Oomph, and they keep trucking. Now, not to saying that the penetration's better or worse. In fact, in most cases, I'll say it's probably worse. But think about it. If you're hunting, especially here in Missouri, where I'm hunting, most of your shots are 30 yards. Most people are killing deer 30 yards in. These two penetrate the same. The only difference is I have $5 in this one. Oh, these would be $4. And if you catch it on sale, sometimes you get these for $3 a shaft. I'll have about $6, $7 in this. You're like, well, I'm only hunting. It's not that bad. Well, if you're like me and you shoot every day and you try to push your limit, you will absolutely lose arrows. And I like these because they're cheaper to replace. That's it. That's number one for me. Hunting wise, I will probably still shoot these. But these are going up on my list right now. They might not fly as far. Man, they're getting good penetration. Man, their tolerance is so tight. Something to think about. Another downside, components for this are harder to find. You're gonna have to go to like Three Rivers Archery to get your cool inserts, the heavy brass inserts. You're gonna probably be doing all this stuff yourself. But if you're shooting a lot every day, you probably already do a lot of this stuff yourself. And plus with the boil fletchings you can get, the quick fletch, anybody can fletch their own arrows. It's a little bit more expensive that way, but if you literally, I think when I calculated these arrows out, when I bought my vanes off of Amazon and I got my heavy field points off Amazon, 200 grains, because I shoot this bad boy right here, 200 grain tip, normal insert. I think I had less than $5 an arrow. Now, if money's not an option for you, then go ahead. And, you know, if you're that type of person, yeah, you'll be fine. If you want to shoot tighter groups, I don't know, think about it. Another downside is the thickness. Is these arrows come in thicker than these arrows. Especially in the world of micro diameter arrows. These things are the fat chicken. But with that also being said, the great thing about aluminum is you can super spine your arrow to your bow. What does that mean? Well, right now the Easton Game Getters, likes to put the 400 spine on, but the little number over here, which is 2117, is that, and I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but you can super shaft the arrows to your bow. As in, there are multiple, especially when you get into the Easton Camo Hunters. Oh my gosh, you have 20 different spine options just in your 60-pound bow range. You jump in the 70-pound, 80-pound bow, you can super spine them out to get exactly what you want. No more just, you know, oh well, it's close enough. You can get that bad boy to fly the way you want, with the tip you want, and everything. It's great. It's kind of a cool jump back in history that somehow is helping us now. So, one anecdotal evidence is I can shoot these right here at 550 and they grains total, and they pretty much fly the same as maybe 100 more grains here. Something to think about. Heavier arrow, I always push for heavier arrows, but with the type of archery I shoot, which is a lot of instinctive gap shooting, you lose a lot of arrows. So the price has really driven me to buy a lot of aluminum arrows. I don't know, this fall I might get out and try to do some hunting with it, but I'm just putting that out there as an option, is aluminum arrows. Might be something you want to look into. Not that I hate these carbons, they're pretty great, but if you do some simple math, 12 grains per inch, these come from the store at 8 grains per inch. Start putting money into each arrow. You're going to figure out that for your practice arrows, you've got $10 flying down range if you're trying to hit these heavy arrows, these heavy grains per inch. And if you lose one, that's a lot of money. When you can jump right over to these, and you will see less money being involved. You'll probably cut it in half, actually, and get a better arrow. Those game getter or those camo hunters are like, the tolerance levels are insane. They're like way off the chart. The only downside you're going to get with that is that, well, components are harder to get. Now, the last thing we're going to leave this on is, if you think for 1 second that these things won't be able to take game, look at literally every single archery video from 1999 back. This ruled the roost for a long time, and there are a lot of people who still stand by them, and they're good arrows. I've killed a lot of things with these, even with a recurve. I've target practiced with these a lot lately. So, just options. When building heavy arrows, if you're on a budget like me and you don't want to be flinging $10 an arrow downrange when you're trying to push out there, for me 50 yards, for you it might be 100. You're at 100 yards trying to fling an arrow. Why not have a cheaper option? And guys, if you want to take this arrow and you can put in your normal insert with your normal broadheads or practice tips, they fly great. They really do. I mean, they're just one of those tools I think is overlooked. And when buying components and stuff, it's better to be shooting cheap arrows than it is to be sitting at home babying your expensive arrows.